There's a story out today about Christie that shows you how he's dripping and oozing corruption on a level that's above and beyond even other politicians in America, and we know that other politicians in America are already very corrupt. So over the weekend, Christie was spotted in the private box of Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and he was as buddy-buddy with him as you could ever be. Like, they're high-fiving and hugging each other and making each other orgasm. All right, maybe not that last part, but everything except that last part. Now, that already should raise red flags in your mind, because it's a politician being buddy-buddy with a billionaire when he's thinking about possibly running for president. And of course, as of right now, he's responsible for the state of New Jersey. So he's got all these responsibilities, and he's got all these things that he's thinking about doing. And what's he doing? Holding hands, and he wants to make out with a billionaire. Well, the International Business Times is reporting today that, quote, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones paid for New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's tickets and travel to NFL games with a value of over $100,000. So this isn't a one-time thing. This is something that's been going on for a while, and they would, put Christie up in certain hotels, and they'd, have certain accommodations lined up for him. So when all is said and done, when you tally everything together, the amount in gifts that was given from this billionaire to Chris Christie, over $100,000. They continue and say, government documents show Christie personally pushed the Port Authority to approve a lucrative contract for a firm part-owned by Jones. Christie nonetheless accepted the gifts from Jones, despite New Jersey ethics rules barring gifts to public officials from persons or entities that those officials deal with, contact, or regulate in the course of official business. So he's very simply and very clearly violating a whole bunch of different ethics rules with his conduct here. They say, on March 19th, 2013, Christie and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo issued a press release announcing their selection of Legends Hospitality, LLC, to operate the observation desk on the top floor of One World Trade Center. Christie pushed the Port Authority to approve them. So, doing political favors for his buddy. Now, Christie was also responsible for passing a New Jersey law which banned politicians from mingling in private boxes with their donors. How do you like them apples? So you want to talk about hypocrisy? This is the highest level of hypocrisy I've ever seen in my life. Christie banned and barred the exact action that he did, except he, of course, banned it in his state, New Jersey. But what, he thinks when he goes to a different state and does the same thing that the principle changes? When you're in the private box of the owner, the principle changes? No, you're still mingling with the billionaire, and you have a conflict of interest, so now how are we supposed to trust you to run the state in an objective way? And how are we supposed to trust you in terms of allocating money and contracts properly to the people who deserve it, as opposed to the people who are just your buddy? No, Christie is a really slimy, sleazy, openly corrupt, old-school, brazen-style politician. I mean, you have to remember, and this isn't the first story that's come around that points to this major issue where Christie thinks he can run the government in New Jersey like a mafia, and he thinks that politics in general is just openly like a mafia system. And the other story that popped in my head when I was reading this one is, remember when you had Hurricane Sandy hit, and in the response to Hurricane Sandy, you had New Jersey, New York, all these different places, they got FEMA money. Now, the way that they were supposed to, the governors of the different states, the way that they were supposed to allocate that money is by necessity. Who needs it? Okay, the places that are most destroyed by the hurricane, they get the most money. I mean, that's a common sense approach to dealing with the situation and to using the money the right way. Well, what did Christie do? Chris Christie gave out the money based off of who did political favors in the different towns and cities for him. So if there's a Republican district which isn't nearly as destroyed as a Democratic district closer to the water, he would give more money to the Republican district because the person leading that district is somebody who was buddy-buddy with him. I mean, this is also a guy who handed out pieces of the World Trade Center building as souvenirs to his donors for his last election campaign. This is a guy who is deeply corrupt. And the thing that's so scary about Chris Christie is that he doesn't think twice about it. There's no hesitation like, well, how is this going to look to an outsider? How is your average person going to perceive what I'm doing here? Should I at least try to be more nuanced in the way I do my corruption? Should I at least, cover it up a little more to try to make it seem like I'm aware of how silly I look and how corrupt I look? He doesn't pay any mind to that whatsoever. He just lets it he flaunts it out there in the open, and then when somebody calls him on that, he pretends like, hey, what are you talking about? I'm a straight shoot over here from New Jersey. I don't know what you mean. Everybody does this. I'm just the only one nice enough to talk about it out in the open and tell everybody that this is how business goes over here. No, Chris, we don't want that. The American people don't want that at all. A majority of Democrats, a majority of independents, and a majority of Republicans all say that we want to limit the corrupting influence of big money on politics. And what do? Instead of trying to coincide with what the voters want, you run right into the arms of legal bribery and corruption and a backward system, and you embrace it fully because it's in your character as a person.